Alright folks, this is going to make its way into the full video I'm doing on this gun, but the Ruger SP101 and 327 Federal Mag, we're going to do the 5-yard roundup with it. Hey folks, I've been doing good. I hadn't bought a new gun for a while, until the Beretta Tomcat, and then again with the Ruger SP101 and 327 Federal Mag. So we're going to come over to the table. I'm going to show you some stuff. This is clear. Some neat things about the 327 Federal Mag. Some of you guys may know that's kind of my pet caliber, if you will. That's one of those calibers that I will wax autistic about, if you allow me to. So we're going to go over a couple different Ruger guns. I'm going to show you the size difference between the GP100, the LCRX, also in 327, and the SP101. And then we'll go over the cartridge a little bit as well for those who may be unfamiliar with it. So I don't think anybody is a stranger to 357 Magnum. I think everybody's heard of that at a minimum. So there's your 357 Mag, and this round is a semi-jacketed hollow point, soft point. Your 327 here, and we'll do those side by side. Move them out a little bit so you can see better. So it's not that much smaller in height, but it is a little bit smaller in diameter. So this particular 357 bullet is 180 grain, and this is 104 grain HST. A lot of people are going to ask why. When you take a 357, this is a GP100 7-shot, and you scale it down to something like the LCR here or the SP101, you frequently go from a 6-shot down to a 5-shot. By going with the smaller 327, you end up with a 6-round gun instead of a 5-round gun. In addition to that, you get about a third less recoil, and you do unlock some other advantages. All these are unloaded. I'm just going to go ahead and shut the cylinders. The other advantage is with the 327 you can shoot these 32 longs. This is a wad cutter. You can even shoot the original 32 Smith & Wesson, which is a little bit shorter than that, and you can shoot 32 H&R Magnum. So 32 H&R Magnum came out in the 80s and was a step up from 32 long. 327 Mag came out in either 2007 or 2008 and is actually a super Magnum, since they took a Magnum with 32 H&R Mag and then magnified it again, if you will, magnified. So you do get some cool stuff. So I've been carrying this for a while. It does have a bigger grip so that I can get all of my fingers on it. And this is a good one. Now it's a bit of a handful with full power 327 Magnum ammunition in it. These were hard to find. This is the SP101, and it is a steel gun, 6-round capacity. It's basically the GP100's little brother. And I heard that this is actually the gun that Ruger collaborated with Federal to create the 327 Mag. So this is the gun they intended it to be fired out of. A little bit of size comparison for you with the LCR and the SP101. You do have about an inch longer barrel. And then again, don't get too hung up on the grip. This is an aftermarket grip. It's not what comes on it, but it does help make it a little more tame. Now I will say with the SP101 grip, my pinky barely is on there, but because of the weight of this gun and the extra inch of barrel length, it's not bad. Your eyes are not playing a trick on you. The cylinder is slanted, and it is almost like a carry treatment. It's also got, you know, an angle here and here. Makes it pretty easy to reholster. You do have fixed sights, ramp up front, and a notch in the rear. You can change the front sight out. I didn't. I just slapped some orange nail polish on it and called it good. So the SP101 is definitely not a full-size revolver, because this is a 4.2-inch GP100. It is a 7-shot 357. And putting the SP101 on there as close as I can get. You can see there's a major difference, and then in width especially, try not to bang these off each other. It may be hard to tell on the camera, but this is a substantially bigger gun. Definitely would not try to conceal that or carry it appendix, which is typically how I carry these. So, versatile gun. We'll go ahead and make sure it's unloaded. I haven't put a trigger pull gauge on here, but double action trigger is pretty smooth. I don't have near the rounds through it that I have through the LCR. This trigger is really nice in double action. Single action, I don't shoot them very often that way, but not terrible. So this gun did actually have to go back to Ruger when I first got it. The rounds were not sitting flush in the cylinder, and they were sticking up just enough to bind against the breech face. That's what I'm going to call it. There may be a different term for revolvers. So it went back to Ruger, and in about 3 weeks or so, they had it back to me, and it's been fine since. So I've owned a lot of Ruger firearms. Inevitably, eventually, you will end up with one that's not quite 100% from the factory. That's fine. The fact that the company stood behind it and got it done right, I'll take that. It's one of 2 firearms I've ever had to send back, so I can't be too upset with those odds. It's a good looking gun. You can see there, Ruger SP101 327 Federal Mag. Yeah, so guess what we'll do now is shoot it. We'll shoot a few different things through it. Some self-defense 327 Federal Mag, and we'll shoot some 32 H&R Mag, and then we'll shoot a few 32 long wad cutters and let you guys see the difference and hear the difference on some steel. It's a pretty wide range of power factor that you can get out of these guns. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and shoot some steel first. What I have, I've got it alternated, so every other one. We're going to start with a 327 Federal Mag Hydroshock from Federal, and then we're going to get 3 of those loaded and 3 of these 32 H&R Mag, just lead round nose. So we will start with, you know what, we'll start with the 32 H&R Mag, and then you should be able to hear the difference. I'm just going to be shooting at steel, nothing too crazy. So, all right, here goes 32 H&R Mag first. 327 Federal Mag. 32 H&R. Full power 327. I can tell you that the self-defense ammunition out of this gun, you can feel it. You can feel the shockwave hit you on, or pressure wave, whatever you want to call it. You can feel it hit you. It thumps your hand a little bit more, but it's not nearly as bad. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to start with 2 32 long wad cutters. Then we're going to go to 2 32 H&R Mags, and then we're going to go to 2 Federal 327 hollow points. So we'll be going from weakest to strongest, and we'll let you guys hear the sound difference on the steel here. So again, the wad cutters are going to be first. These are, I mean, they're really not bad at all. All right. Barely anything. They're actually a ton of fun to shoot. My 9-year-old can shoot them. All right, now for the 32 H&R Mags. A little bit more stout. And now for the 327 Federals. Definitely a big difference. So let's talk about some of the downsides of going with something in this caliber. So, downsides, I guess, is mainly that it's just a oddball to find this ammunition out and about. It's not impossible, but it's certainly not going to have the same market saturation that something like 9mm will have. But if you like revolvers, this really is a good one to get into, especially if you're willing to put in the time and effort to reload or learn to reload, which is how I have practice ammo for this, because I do a good bit of hand loading for it. It is kind of a almost criminally underrated cartridge in, let's see if we can go 6 for 6 in gun world. No 6 for 6 on that one. It's almost criminally underrated for being so easy to shoot. And as a concealed carry revolver, if you've spent enough time around snub-nose 357 Magnums, you know that those can be not fun to shoot, downright punishing, and are a great way to develop a flinch with 357 Magnum self-defense ammo. With this, even using self-defense ammunition, it is not that bad. Recoil for 327, more than 9, less than 40 in semi-auto terms, almost like a heavy 38 special. It's not crazy. This particular gun makes it almost fun to shoot, even with the full power stuff. And then things like the 32 H&R mag that I was just shooting, it's easy. It's easy to shoot it. There's not much recoil going on. But let's go talk about some of the ballistics of this cartridge. So a while ago, I made a video saying why I had changed my mind on revolvers for concealed carry. And in that, I was specifically talking about LCRX and the Harry's Holster Icon 2.0. That was the realization that if I can carry this and it leaves the house with me, that makes a lot more sense than, you know, whatever super tactical gun that you typically would associate with concealed carry in today's day and age. Stuff with red dots, lights, and all that good stuff. You know, like my Stealth Arms Platypus. And in that video, it did come up in the comments that guns like that LCRX were not particularly easy to shoot and could, in fact, have pretty prohibitive recoil for a lot of people, especially if they're not chambered in something like 327. And that's true. You get a gun this size that is chambered in 357 Magnum, it's not fun. And even with 38s, there's just certain physics you can't get around. What the 32 family of revolver cartridges allows me to do is I can tailor that load. If for whatever reason this was the only handgun we had at the house, you know, I, being more of a shooter than my wife, have no problem with the HSTs, especially out of the SP101 as opposed to the LCR. Whereas my wife probably would like the 32 H&R mags a little bit. And even with the 327 Fed mag, the full power stuff, it's not so much the recoil, it's just the blast. Like, I really wouldn't want to set one of those off inside without ear pro on. But I want to teach my son to shoot revolver. Can load it up with some 32 long wad cutters or round nose. The wad cutters are just, they have their own appeal. And he can learn how to shoot the same revolver dad carries without developing flinches and other bad habits because of recoil. The downside to the cartridge is you cannot walk into just any gun store and find it a lot of times. It's a little bit harder to find, and then even if you do find it, there's not quite the same choices that there are with things like 9mm and 38. Of course, we've seen even that get scarce during the COVID thing and all that. But, you know, I think it does say something that companies like Federal are making their HSTs in this caliber. As far as energy levels, it is a great Goldilocks zone, if you will, between 38 and 357. A lot of it depends on barrel length, so with the LCR, you're not going to get the same muzzle energy that you do out of the 3-inch SP101. But the HSTs are supposed to be doing, I got the box, let's take a look. The 327 104 grain HSTs are doing 1,500 feet per second at the muzzle, and I believe that's out of a 3-inch barrel. With the energy, that gets you to 520 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. So that's not anything you want to sneeze off. I think most 9mm muzzle energy levels for defense ammunition are in the high 3s, low 4s. So you are getting some significant energy out of that. It's not a 22 or a 32 ACP. Although, cool story, you can actually fire 32 ACP out of this. We'll go over that in a second. Those energy levels put that in solid self-defense territory, in my opinion. People say, of course you can advocate for that caliber because you reload. Yep. That does make it a lot easier for me to have the opinion of it that I do, because I pick up my brass, I can find the projectiles, and well, pretty much projectiles. Powder I can find. I use Winchester 231 and it's small pistol primer. So as long as you can get the brass, you can do kind of whatever you want with it. The self-defense ammunition I have found online in places like Lucky Gunner and stuff like that, so that's not terrible. But it does make it a lot more affordable to practice with reloading your own ammo. Right now it doesn't make sense really with things like 9mm and all that, because the cost per round, you're typically going to be paying about the same as you can buy it for, and that's not even factoring in your time. But as we have seen in the past, ammo availability does tend to fluctuate, and just because it's good right now doesn't mean it'll still be good in 6 months' time, or a year from now. So there is something to be said for having enough components back to be able to keep shooting in events like that. And just aside, if you enjoy it, then it's fun. I'm not going to say you should reload just to keep yourself in ammo and save a little money. I enjoy doing it, so it's worth it to me when I have the time. But that does make this a lot more feasible option for me, being able to load my own practice ammunition. 32 H&R mags, no slouch. If somebody is recoil sensitive, even with the LCR here, some people say, well, it's going to be punishing to shoot out of there. Well, these wad cutters are not going to break the bank for energy levels, but they do, from several gel tests that I've seen, get you into that 16-inch mark in ballistics gel. So penetration beats expansion every day of the week. And actually, if we're honest about it, expansion and self-defense hollow points is really just a limit over penetration. So a lot of us get hung up on how pretty the bullet flowers, but it really doesn't matter if that bullet's not getting to the depths that it needs to. That's just my thoughts on that. But anyways, let me show you this 32 ACP, what I'm talking about there. It's not something you should do all the time, but in a pinch, if you happen to be out of this oddball caliber and have 32 ACP sitting around, this can work. Now, because 32 ACP is a semi-rimmed, let's get it focused, semi-rimmed bullet, you have a 327 Magnum revolver, you can actually drop those in there and they will sit down in the chambers. There we go. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Let me just get it loaded. They will sit down in the chambers of the cylinder and they will fire, which I'll show you in a second. Where it gets tricky is the extraction, because they're only semi-rimmed. So now we have 6 32 ACPs. Let's go ahead out on here on the range and give them a blast. We're just going to wing some shots. I've done this in the LCR. I have not done it in the SP101, but we'll see if we can get any on steel out here. Well, we are actually getting light primer strikes in the SP101. So maybe let's try one more. Let's try it single action and see if that makes a difference. Alright, so we'll pause that idea. We're going to do it in the LCR because I know it'll work there. Well, I'm glad I didn't wait till the zombie apocalypse to grab the SP101 and a box 32 ACP and assume I was good to go. I wonder if it's the ammo. I don't remember what I tried before, but it worked. Alright, so now we've got 32 ACP in the LCRX. Now let's see how that does. Alright, so they all fired there. It's got to be something with the cylinder tolerances. So when you go to push it up with your ejector here, you can see how it's not catching all the rounds because they're semi-rimmed, so they can actually get underneath your extractor. Because they're so short, you can typically get them out. A little bit of finagling. You're not going to win any speed reloading competitions. And I say that, and now it's looking like I might actually need to poke these out with something. So, will it work? Yes, we just got one more hung up there. But those are much better suited for 32 ACP guns like the Beretta Tomcat, stuff like that. But in a pinch, they'll go down range. Well, I'm going to do 6 more of these 32 ACPs and just talk while I do it here. So apparently some 327, 32 H&R mag, whatever guns, and if it's not a 327 Federal mag, check your pressures. I'm not sure where this operates in terms of, like, if you have a 32 long, I don't know how close the pressures are, but we'll see. We'll do 6 more, see if we get them on target. I'm certainly not Jerry Michalek, and I make no claim to be, but I feel like I'm a lot more accurate with the rounds actually intended for this gun. So that's something to think about. Not sure why that makes me giggle that you can do that with 32 ACP, because it's not like it's a super useful caliber like 9mm. But again, if that's a selling point for you, well, now you know that it works kind of in some guns. That was cool though. I didn't realize it wouldn't work in the SP101, so we learned something new. People always ask about accuracy. Is the gun accurate? Well, it's more accurate than I am, and that's kind of the case for a lot of stuff. I've seen nothing at this point that would lead me to believe there's any mechanical fault with the SP101 in terms of accuracy. I haven't noticed any keyholing or anything like that. They all pretty much go where I'm trying to get them to go until I don't do my part, and then that's its own can of worms, if you will. I think it's a really neat option in that caliber. The size frame to me, again, is just kind of got an ant on there. Just kind of Goldilocks. It's not too big, it's not too small, not too thin, not too thick, and it does soak up the recoil of the 357s, the 327s, much better than the LCR does. I'm not sure how your mileage will be, you know, kind of applying the same approach with 357 mag. I've not shot one of these in that caliber. I would imagine that it would help some over something like the LCR, but I'm not sure how much. I do really like the 32 family of cartridges. 6 rounds versus 5, is it that big of a deal? I don't know. To me, not really, but the appeal for me is the ease of shooting these calibers as opposed to 357 Magnum or 38. So that 327, as I said, it kind of falls in a Goldilocks zone between plus P38 and 357 mag, and actually over some factory 357 mag loadings or the lighter 357 mags, you're getting really close to that energy level in a gun that's a lot easier to shoot in a caliber that generates less felt recoil. I don't know how to quantify that any better than to say I can tell a big difference between shooting the two calibers. So way off in the comments if it's worth it to you. Like I said, ammo's kind of hit or miss on getting that. Yeah, it is an excellent round to maybe push you over the edge in the reloading, and in terms of reloading, it's an easy one to do. It's a straight wall cartridge, kind of hard to mess it up if you read your manual and follow the recipes in there. There is a good bit of data out there for 32 H&R mag and 327 and 32 long. All 3 of those are worth loading in my opinion. I keep all my brass from all of them, and they don't use a whole lot of powder in the 32 H&R and 32 long especially. I haven't loaded any 32 Smith & Wesson or 32 shorts yet, mainly because I didn't have that much brass from that caliber to begin with. I might be doing that soon, but I would imagine that's even less powder. So in terms of a cheap plinker, if you will, there you are. Now I realize this video may make it sound like I don't like 357 Magnum. That's not true at all. I do. I've got the GP100, I've got a Python, and the Henry Model X 357 mag. That's a ton of fun to shoot, and that really is kind of a reloader's wet dream because there's so much you can do with it, and it's a versatile cartridge in its own right. So this is strictly from a concealed carry point of view. I like the 327 over the 357, and I hope I've explained that. If I didn't for some reason, because I'm scatterbrained after being out here in the heat, feel free to let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer your questions there. All right, folks, this is going to make its way into the full video I'm doing on this gun, but the Ruger SP101 and 327 Federal Mag, we're going to do the 5-yard roundup with it and see how that goes. So yeah, let's see, we got 1 round from concealment, 4 rounds from the ready with both hands, 3 rounds from strong hand only or dominant hand, and 2 rounds from weak hand only. Par time is 2.5 seconds on all these. Obviously, it's a 10-round drill, so I will top off the revolver after the first 2. So we're at the 5-yard mark. Fresh B8. Let's see how we do. .207. All right, and we pulled that into the 8 ring. Let's do 4 from ready position. Obviously, it should go without saying I'm doing all of this double action. So all right, 248. That was cutting it close, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and top off here. So anything 7 ring or lower does not count. Possible score of 100 on this. So yeah, each one of those is 10% of your score potentially. So we're just topping them off here, and let's go ahead and do the 3 rounds strong hand only. .215. Then we got 2 rounds weak hand only. Oh, we did pull 1. All right, let's go see how we did there. Oh, not my best performance, but let's take a look. All right, that does not count. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did we pull 1 completely off the paper? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we did. So let's see what we actually got for a score. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 8's 24, plus 2 in the 9, plus 2 in the 10. So we got 44 plus 18. 54. Yeah, that's not great. Not good at all, folks. I realize that content has been kind of hit or miss over the last couple months. There's going to be another video coming out about some health stuff I've been dealing with that kind of messed my headspace up a little bit back from an ER visit in March. And in addition to that, doing the landscaping, I've been extremely busy. Fortunately, business is doing great. So hopefully I'll be getting more content out to you as time goes on. But as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. A huge thank you to my channel members and patron members. You guys rock. You help keep me in reloading components to come out here and blast off a 327 and things like that. But I hope y'all are doing good and stay safe. I'll see you next time.